go about another hour upriver, we come to rocks we couldn't navigate. The only reason we can navigate this part of the river, there's a dam about 300 feet west of our dock that keeps the level up. That dam was built over 100 years ago as a power source for a mill. In the 1980s, the mill was torn down and completely rebuilt, and it stands today just as it did 100 years ago. That dam was built in 1848 as a power source for the Hubinger flour mill. Except for a 30-year span, the Hubinger mill continued to produce flour until the early 1990s. The mill remains fully functional, however the machinery is silent.
Giờ bên một cửa kính có rồi giờ có xe biết thịt là cá nó thì bên một cửa kính có chỗ luôn nữa.
Vegetation growing over there. On the left, you can see a flat plant out. From the shore a little bit, that's a lily pad. Not many lilies growing on the right now. Very common along rivers. The bushy-looking plant along the shoreline is called lizard tail. It's an interesting plant in nature because animals apparently they don't eat it, they don't like it, but it does have a purpose in nature. When it grows, it comes up every spring, goes away in the fall. And when it grows in the spring, it grows like a miniature mangrove swamp. And it's a hiding place for small animals chased by predators. We've seen minks chasing baby wood ducks. Minks away. So it's a hiding place for small animals. It's also a place where dragonflies lay eggs. And apparently the reason is animals don't go in there so that nothing bothers the eggs. People ask us how fast we're going. We don't do fast. We're going 3 knots. What does that mean? 1 knot is 1.15 miles an hour. 1 knot is a little bit faster than a mile an hour. We go 3 of those. So we're going just a little bit faster than 3 miles an hour, which is considered to be walking speed. You can walk at a good pace. You can keep up with it. There was a sidewalk on the side, and you were walking along that street. But eventually, you tire out just to go a little bit faster.
Can you grab some and get it back to the system?
That tree on the right along the shoreline has some they're cold-blooded, so they're warming themselves up. Also, just beyond that, dead tree on the right, there's some kind of tree part sticking out. I think there's a turtle on that. Maybe 2 turtles. Have you ever wondered where turtles go in the winter? It gets very, very cold up here. Turtles are cold-blooded animals. And their body temperature is directly related to how cold it is. The colder it gets outside, the colder the turtle gets. And eventually the turtle is probably thinking more about surviving, so it's getting cold. Basically goes down to the bottom of the body and rests on the bottom. And they spend the winter there. When they get down there, they fall asleep. Off and on during the winter, they'll wake up, walk around a little bit, eat something, and go back to sleep again. They do that. Reptiles, that's called brumation. They stuff themselves full of Fossil Spring. Turtles are down there all winter and awake to sleep, sometimes eating something, sometimes not. So formation is taking place with turtles. Are down there all winter. How they breathe. Technically, they don't. Well, why don't they die? Because they have another secret. Turtles around their back end, their rump, back in that area, there's a place where they actually can absorb oxygen from the water through the skin into blood vessels in this particular area. And oxygen absorbed by them that way, and it's enough to keep their body alive all winter. Sometimes our heartbeat is only once a minute. In the springtime, it starts warming up, and of course, they start getting warmer and warmer, and eventually, they come back up to the surface, and when they do, they start breathing again. So that's how turtles survive through the winter, without breathing. And that's how they start breathing again. They come back up to the surface in the spring.
Hurry up, hurry up.
Nó bên nhau tôi sao bé à? Cày tôi bé là bé thì tôi sang lúc bông nè, chẳng thì nó sang một chế này, không có đâu cả, mà lúc bông,
This boat has not always been on the Cass River. It was built on the Mississippi River in 1981 across Wisconsin across both ports. It was built for Kentucky and Packet Lines, and the family that owned that company wanted a vessel to use in Evansville, Indiana as a dinner boat. They had it built, they took it down the Mississippi and up the Ohio, and they operated there for 5 years as the Spirit of Evansville. They then had an agreement with the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, and they took it there, and they operated for 15 years as the Spirit of North Little Rock. When we decided to put a boat in River Place, we bought this from them in early 1999. When we did, it looked a lot different than it does now. The cloth roof on the upper deck was steel, and the pilot house sat 12 feet behind where it is right now, and it was 2 stories tall. It was built that way so it could have a third deck in it. They never needed one, and if we put one on, there's no way we'd get under the covered bridge. So the first thing we did was cut the steel off the roof. We cut 7 feet off the pilot house and moved it forward so the captain could still see over the bow. We operated on the Arkansas that way for 2 months with no passengers to get everything recertified. We then took everything off the upper deck, the railing, the roof supports, the smokestacks that used to be 15 feet taller, the pilot house, and also the gangplank assembly. We put all of that on one truck. We took the hull and paddle wheel assembly that weighed over 60 tons at that point. We put that on a separate truck. That truck was 20 feet wide and 126 feet long. It's not very likely you've ever seen anything this large going down the highway before. The 1100-mile trip from Arkansas should have taken 4 or 5 days. But because of bad weather with ice in the south and snow appeared in the north, it took over 2 months. They could not travel on interstates because it would shut down one direction of an interstate. They had to travel on Class A state highways or U.S. highways, and every time it did that, it required at least 5 police cars to escort it. It sat for a month in Angola, Indiana, waiting for the snowbanks to recede before the state of Michigan would allow us to enter the state. When it finally did arrive in Frankenmuth, we brought it into Heritage Park on the left side of the boat. If you look at the pavilion, you can see a black fence, and at the right end of that, the gravel road down into the park. That road had to be rebuilt because it wasn't suitable to carry a load this size. When the truck arrived with the boat on it, it had already been done. It was able to come down onto the grass. It was nice green grass at that point because we had spent the previous 2 months plowing all the snow off of it. It came parallel to the sidewalk, went up to the sycamore tree, between that and the leaning tree, and we had 2 175-ton cranes take it off the truck, set it on timbers, and we started to rebuild it. It's a long way down below. Even though it was a working dinner room, we elected to strip that back to bare metal, and that's all and redone with hardwood cherry for natural finish. That was typical of riverboats in the 1800s. They used fine hardwoods throughout. In fact, Mark Twain said that riverboats were floating palaces. The White House also has a history of fine hardwoods, and that's typical of those vessels in the 1800s. You may be asking yourself why we brought this up to market so long ago. The original plan was to bring it up the Mississippi River through the Illinois Ship Canal and sail it around the Great Lakes to Bay City, Michigan, where we would have a very short 30-mile trip on the truck. And very simply got too late in the year. Many times in the fall, also in the spring, the Mississippi River flows south at 6 miles per hour, sometimes faster. This boat cruises at 7 or 8 miles an hour. If you do the math, you would realize that we actually could have seen some species increase route as we made our way north. We calculated we would be in Lake Michigan sometime in November. That's not a good time to be there. So rather than retrieve the boat off the bottom of Lake Michigan and then put it on a truck, we thought we'd just leave it on the truck.
No compagnia ya lo lo bota to bo lo bota ya sa te no sa ben ko no to ho ta lo nya te ho te ta lo nya to ka ma ko no ta pe to te lo nya to pe ho te ho luna chi luna company na to company hu cha no mo ha cha no mo ho to cha lu to cha ta pe to te lu to
This river has a lot of animals in it. Two of the most plentiful animals I've got pelts of up here. This is a muskrat. Yuck, it's only a muskrat. That's the first reaction. Muskrats are very useful animals. There are a lot of them in this river. Muskrats, how they get their name, must comes from the fact that they emit an aroma as a defensive device, and it's called musk. So that's what it is, a defensive device, so it chases animals away. The rat part comes from the tail of this animal, and he lost his valuable. The tail, if they're on land, it looks like a rat tail, straight out. In the water, it looks like a snake moving along behind them, propel themselves in the water. But they're greatly misunderstood. This little animal eats nothing but grass. It's like a bunny rabbit that lives in the water. So they're very nice little animals. So they just eat grass. And quite often when you see a muskrat in the river, what you see is a clump of grass floating along the river. And so muskrats, they burrow into the bank along the river, and that's where they're and they'll go a long way from the river to crawl up on the bank and pile of grass. Get it in their mouth, go along the river back to their burrow to eat the grass. So that's what you see is they're moving the grass back. Sometimes they're not, but that's what you see. That's how they get all their food. They take it back to the, if you got it in a kayak or canoe, sometimes you might find the burrow because they will lose a few strands when they go into the burrow. But that's a muskrat. A lot of them. Another animal that's very common in the river. This is a mink. I've got it by the tail, which is called feet. They're a member of the weasel family. They're just terriers. There are a lot of them right back where our boat docks and those big Niagara Stone rocks there. They're cracks in them. And they run there and build a den in there. A lot of them right there. And we see them down around the boat a lot. They'll run out around the boat. Sometimes in the evening when we get back and eat all the popcorn that's falling down along the rubber rail. And so there's a lot of fun to see when they're actually out looking very quickly, stick their nose in everything, under everything, around everything. They'll stop and look at you like, what are you looking at? Almost think for them. Anyway, that's a mink. And they're both very common. Let me borrow just a minute, okay? So both of these really have kind of a history. Back around 1900, when mink coats were very popular, many times a person buying a mink coat would order a muskrat collar because it's softer than mink. I'll leave both these up here and you can check it out. Our boat docks at River Place. River Place was opened in July of 2000. For many years, that was the site of a major brewing company. Originally, it was Carling Brewing Company. Then it became G. Heilemann Brewing. The most famous beer they brewed was Carling Black Label. They went bankrupt in 1981. The Zender family bought the property. In the summer of 1999, they tore it down to build River Place. They took down everything except the basement. The basement there is a cavernous structure that has ceilings almost 20 feet high. So when you're walking around River Place, about 85% of the stores and the sidewalks are actually sitting on the ceiling of the old basement. They also thought far enough ahead to build a tunnel 285 feet long that goes east off the basement over toward available land, so that if they ever build on the River Place, those stores will be able to access that same storage through the tunnel. The sidewalks in River Place are heated, so there's no ice or snow there in the winter. The pedestrian bridge 60 feet west of our dock also has a heated deck, as is the sidewalk going from the north end of that bridge up to the Bavarian Inn restaurant. Just a little side note about the bridge that we're coming to, the covered bridge. When I was growing up, I lived in an area where there were a lot of covered bridges, and my dad, I remember him telling me one time, because I had a laser cover on it, and there were a lot of Amish in the area, and he suspected it was because horses and buggies, horses didn't like to go across the bridge. Well, he was wrong. The reason covered bridges are covered is because back years ago when they built a wood bridge, they didn't have creosote or anything else. They built a wooden bridge, and if they didn't put a cover on it, it would last 20 years. If they didn't cover it up, it would last 100 years. So that's why covered bridges are covered. On the left side of the river, big structure over there. That's the water park that's being built by the Bavarian Inn Lodge. And all the superstructure you see way up there is to cover, they're going to cover all that with glass. The very right end of it's already got glass on it. And they've been up there every day putting glass panels on it. And that's because they have to be covered in the, up here in the winter, because otherwise they freeze, and most of them up here have glass roofs on it. It will be large, easily one of the largest water parks in the Midwest. Just in water slides, it will have 16 different water slides. It will have an indoor aerial park. Aerial parks are generally out in the woods. You crawl up onto a tree with a platform on it, and you start there, and then you navigate through the woods on boat-supported walkways, cables, and also will be parked in the water park. And it will open up in the fall. The covered bridge up ahead of us was built in 1979 by my father and the son. The father at the time was 7 years old. He was described as an engineer, designer, and hand builder of covered bridges. This particular bridge was built on land on the east side of the river, and it was built all by hand. It took them 2 years to build it. And while they were doing that, a contractor was putting the concrete bridge piers in the river bottom. When they got done building the bridge, they jacked it up and they put timbers under it. They extended the timbers out across the bridge piers to the west shore. They put long rollers under the bridge, attached a cable to the end of the bridge, extended that across to the west shore, put block and tackle in the cable, and wrapped the end of it around the capstan on the west shore. For 12 days, 2 oxen walked around the capstan every day, pulling the bridge a few feet farther out across the bridge piers until they got it in place. They jacked it up, took the timbers and log rollers out from under it, and set it down the pier. Sounds like a story somebody would have made up, but that's actually how the bridge got there. At one time, that was a common way of building bridges. Apparently, it was a lot easier to build them on land, and that makes sense. You could lean a ladder up against them and work on them very easily, and then once you knew how to move them around on rollers, do it that way. Then it was to hoist heavy material high up above the water onto the bridge piers and try to construct a bridge from there. This bridge weighs well over 230 tons. The two oxen were able to pull the bridge because the block and tackle and the cable amplified the pulling power of each of the oxen from 1 to 180. So even though there were only 2 oxen walking around the capstan, theoretically there were 360 pulling the bridge out across the bridge piers. One of the major structural components of the bridge is the lattice truss. You can see that from either side. The lattice truss weighs over 20 tons. It's made of Douglas fir. When you go under the bridge, you can see the tails of the truss extending over the roadway. You can see they're held together with very large dowels. Those are called funnels or tree nails. They're over 2 feet long. In years past, that was a common way of fastening large structures, bridges, and barns. The entire bridge is fastened that way. The only metal fasteners of the bridge are nails that hold the shingles on, metal brackets that hold the roadway down so it doesn't rattle when cars and buses go over, and metal braces that hold the bridge itself down to the bridge piers so it doesn't blow off the bridge piers in the wind. The name of the bridge is Hochbrücke, which means wooden bridge.
Going to the bridge, buddy.
On the left side of the boat, the sidewalks and docks you see were part of the construction of River Place in 2001. The limestone there came from the Niagara Escarpment in Ontario, Canada. It's the same limestone formation
Good deal.
There, I don't know what you want. No, well done. Let your finger in my eye.
Làm mong tới đây tối lên nó nóng thành co thế này. Ồ, một cái còn đây không? À, đây không nè. Tối lại có thế. Đâu, nó có thế nó là thế có sở trường thế con. Bố cả thế nó thế.
Alright.
Xem kịp về tất cả thứ kịp cái món này chi nhất rồi. Hello. Đó, không có tay. Đúng, chú chào. Đó, có là tớ là tớ, chứ nó phụ tớ. Cái tớ khác, có tớ, theo cái mặt tớ có khác rồi.
As for securing the lines and putting down the ramp, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for riding on the Bavarian Bell. We hope that you enjoyed the trip, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day at River Place and Franklin. While the home is secure, on the other deck, please exit the staircase on the right side of the boat.
I don't know. They probably don't know.
Ăn trời ơi. Dễ. Tôi còn bên thì luôn. Trời luôn. Cái này tôi chơi nó lồ xíu rồi. Chứ mua cho đồ liều. Nó lồ hết cho là chỉ cũng mua cái này mà gió. Chỉ mua cho nó lồ cái.
Are they twins?
No, are they twins?
They are.
Twins?
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful.
Thank you.
You guys are so cute. You girls
What
are
do you
so
say?
cute. Có sợ mày ơi. Bây giờ
Thank
con
you.
nó. Còn tên nó. Đây mà người ta biết con mà lấy mất không. Đây là tụi chân thành gọi cái tiêu rồi. Đây tại cho con này một cái cái nhau đỏ cổ nó này. Rồi thì bây giờ lên thì sức. Làm mấy chỗ nó nha. Wow. That's it. Có gió một cái. Cái món gì ha? Nhầm đấy. 이거 어촌 겨 어촌만 통감 보통 통따로 là bên mặt theo các cái bông mông từ tôm là chi nhau từ mình từ rồi chi nhau của ta bên ô cái tôm này tiểu cả con na cái kế ô lệ nó có một cái này cho bên lúa cá này ta bên nó bên lúa cá nhỏ cho này giờ là ta bên lúa cho cái đúng không có em ôi trời ta bên lúa ra lúa.
Yeah, we need one of them. No mistake.
Ta bên lúa ra lúa. Đây sai nó sẽ bên lúa cho bên nào luôn. Cho nó luôn đấy. Ăn thì nó đang ngót thêm. That's right.
I said we have to give you a
Ta bên chỉ nó rồi. Chỉ dồn cho nó rồi. Lo đi ta chỉ lo mò mẹ cả tụi chỉ cho lo lên go to. On choเลยbên mò mà có một tảng bên mò. Ô chỉ on cho bên mò. Mò. Em mong hiện tại có hũ đó. Em hiện tại có hũ chè. Em phải sáng nó hũ. Rồi lúc chuyện trên con nó mà chi. Rồi con số hót chơi. Hả? Có thể. sang bốn con nó chơi sang hồ sinh cho nó cũng một lần trả kể tôi xí lên nè tôi cho tôi này em kia hết ta mua giọt chén nóจะใช้mua giọt cho lại lên nó hàng gạo chú gạo thì lên lục bốn lên một trăm vẹt kia tôi sẽ cô mà cô đó cái hiện đại luôn đó nó hiện đại không đó để trộn tay nó sôi luôn trộn tay nó sinh sống cái luôn nó từ nó xem một cá nó xem một cá nó phải làm cái gì đó thì chỉ sang đó cái chỗ Lũ kia nó lũ kia ở nên được khâu đó xuống chỗ kia chỉ là đô và mà ở lòng vô cường cô ôi chả biết chia sẻ chết cho chăng ấy chúng tôi bị mà thay lắm nó sao bị nó sao nó có nặng sao nó ô tô mua này ấy rồi nhá ô tô có số lượng phụ mua nâu nó đấy nó số tên nâu nó tao có đâu nó họ hay ta cổ biết không sai nhập lại để cho nó cổ họ được ta nó trespass warning nó này
mua con này nó không kia mà tay cần là tôi sẽ kiểm tra
sao một đó biết tôi tao nó sao sao là khâu tu trả tiền nó tao nó nó để lo rồi để nó để ta làm nó để tôi cha nó ok cho chào nó thịt luôn ok tao có món này cho tao hỗ trợ ồ đó nhớ tiền ô là bye bye là đó tao thấy chỗ nó trồng hết